Hey, Mike from BlindsOnline.com, and going to show you how to install our half-inch single-cell cellular shade, light filtering. When you receive your new shade, it'll look something like this. It'll have the cords wrapped around the top of the headrail. So, of course, the first thing that we recommend is that you just undo the cords. Okay, very easy to do. And once you have the cord unwound, if you just let the shade down a bit, make sure she's working okay. Again, this is our half-inch single cell light filtering shade. This particular shade is in the color cotton, which is basically just the plain white. It has the matching aluminum top rail, which is your head rail, and bottom rail in white. And this shade happens to be white, but if it were a colored shade, the back side would be white, and the inside, the color facing in toward the house would be the color. Okay, in this case it doesn't really matter, of course, because it's white on both sides. Alright, so once you have your shade ready for mounting, because you have your cords all unraveled from the shade, just put the shade aside for a moment and retrieve the mounting brackets that come packaged with the shade. And this is what the mounting brackets will look like. They're little white plastic brackets, and these are universal. These brackets can be used for either an inside mount or an outside mount. So again, there's no need for you to order these. These come already packaged with the shade. When you order a shade, you're going to get these automatically. Okay? So today, the first type of installation that I'm going to show you will be how we mount the shade for an inside mount. Inside mount meaning, of course, that the shade will be mounted inside the window frame. All right, and it helps if you have a screw gun handy. Screw gun always makes things a little bit easier. The screws will come packaged along with the brackets and the shades. And if we're going to be mounting these inside the frame, the first thing you'll do is place your bracket up to the very top of the window frame, just like that, with a little pointy side of the bracket facing toward you. Okay, I like to mount the brackets as far forward as possible. Some guys like to mount them a little bit further back. It's a matter of preference. But again, I like the shade to be flush to the front of the window frame, so I choose to mount the bracket flush with the front of the window. Put your screw right through that center hole in the bracket and secure the bracket right to the inside of the frame. Okay, this particular shade requires 2 mounting brackets, and we'll predetermine how many brackets that you need, and they'll be packaged neatly with the shade. So we're going to mount the second bracket the same way. Okay, directly up into the window frame. Just going to drive your screw straight in, and again, that little pointy side is going to be facing out. This little Phillips head screw will be facing down. So if you want to use that as a guide, little Phillips head screw facing down, that makes it an easy installation. Okay. Once you have your mounting brackets set, which they are, you'll grab the shade and just lower the shade a bit. Okay, just let the shade down a little bit. The reason we do that is so that when you put the shade into the brackets, you don't catch any of this fabric on the back. Sometimes the fabric gets caught inside the bracket, and when you lower the shade, it looks a little funny. Okay, so lower the shade 5-6 inches, bring the shade up to the brackets, and what we want to do is seat this pointy part of the bracket into the groove that's on the very top of the head rail. Okay, so that little pointy part of the bracket is going to seat itself right inside that groove. We want to slide the shade back and forth so that it's even. We have an even space on the left, even space on the right, and once we have that evened out, just like we do, we're going to just take the butt of our hand and give it a little pop, okay, where the bracket is, and that's going to seat the head rail right into the brackets. Okay, we're just about done, but just for a little extra security, I'm going to ask that you take a Phillips head screwdriver, go up behind the shade, okay, lift the shade up, and we're going to go back to those little Phillips head screws that we talked about that are going to be facing straight down, and we're going to tighten those up. Okay, so tighten both Phillips head screws just to secure the shade so it doesn't fall down and bop you on the head. We wouldn't want that. Okay, once you have those screws tightened, guess what? You're done. Okay, your shade is securely mounted. You can lift the shade up and down by pulling on the cord. Always unlock the shade by moving the string to the left, and always lock it in place by moving the cord to the right. Okay. Also packed with your shade will be this little cord cleat. Okay, the cord cleat is in there for child safety reasons and also to keep the string from dangling on the floor or from being accessible to pets. We don't want this hanging too low, okay, just in case there's a young child in the house. We don't want this getting wrapped around the child's neck. So we recommend that you install the little cleat that comes with the shade, and you can always hang the cord up on that cleat just to keep it away from, you know, young children, pets, whatever it may be, okay? So that's how you'll mount your shade inside the window frame. Now, if you chose to mount the shade on the outside of the window frame, okay, meaning either on the molding or up above the molding, okay, you'll take those same mounting brackets, okay, and these brackets were universal. Remember, we talked about that in the beginning. And rather than mounting the bracket up into the top of the frame, we're just going to adhere that bracket right onto the molding, just like that. And yes, we have Velcro on these brackets just to make things easy. Yours won't have the Velcro. All you'll have to do is draw 2 screws right through the holes into the window molding, and you'll be good to go. Now, if you choose to mount the shade up above the molding as opposed to right in the molding, okay, we do recommend that you order yourself a spacer block, and this is a no-charge option at checkout. This is the spacer block. Your bracket would get placed up on top of the spacer block, just as shown, and then you'll take the whole kit and caboodle and you'll mount that just above the window opening. And what that spacer does is it pushes the bracket out far enough so that when you mount your shade, it's not interfering with the molding, because the molding has some thickness and we want to push the shade out far enough so that it doesn't hit the molding when it goes up and down. Okay, these are your 2 outside mount applications. You're above the molding or on the molding. That's up to you, and that's how you mount your brand new 1/2-inch single cell light filtering shade. I'm Mike from blindsonline.com, and if you have any questions, feel free to call anytime.